Prime Minister dashed hopes of a move to an orange traffic light setting this afternoon, saying we're doing well, but we're still in a large Omicron outbreak. The Restaurant Association said it was a bitter disappointment as the hospitality industry continues to struggle with no more than 200 people allowed in an indoor setting. There were 10,205 new cases today. And while Jacinda Ardern conceded the outbreak was running out of steam in Auckland, it isn't elsewhere. And she said there was still significant pressure on the health system. 734 people are in hospital today, with 25 in intensive care. There were also 9 deaths of people with COVID. Political editor Jenna Lynch reports.
Auckland's Everybody's Bar is stocked, ready for everybody. But nobody has been allowed on the dance floor for months. Today, owner Sam Ansley, all ears for Cabinet's call.
All right, finally. Here we go.
Bad news, no dance floor today.
New Zealand will remain at red.
Right.
The next review of the
Gutted.
I'm sure she's going to do something different. I'm sure of it.
Cabinet is keeping the brakes on.
Again, hospitality is the continue whipping boys.
I know there is an eagerness to move to orange, but we are still frankly amid an outbreak and there is still pressure across our hospital network.
Sports events, you can go and have 50,000 people in a seat that's 32 millimetres away from somebody else. You know, everything else is opened up from us.
While vax passes are a no-go now, the 200-person limit and seated and separated rules remain. And the red setting means people are still working from home. Sam Ansley cannot get this place humming at capacity.
And if you're an after-work bar, going into late night, you rely on the city being full of people and vibrant. And that's not happening.
Despite Auckland climbing down off its Omicron peak, the Prime Minister not willing to set them free.
Auckland has made significant progress, but we do still have a relatively high hospitalisation rate. They carry a significant number of the hospitalisations in New Zealand are in the Auckland region. We need to look after our healthcare workforce.
Look, there's no longer any logic to the framework. They're just hurting hospitality for no reason.
While the curve is being crushed up north, COVID is still raging through the country. There are 92,500 active cases in New Zealand. Christchurch is chasing down the COVID capital title with 14,000 of those cases. Some Cantabrians cautious, others are carefree about COVID.
I suppose I don't fear it, and I don't feel it's going to happen to me.
100% be more cautious and try not get reinfected yet.
I have a chronic illness, so I don't know what's going to happen to me if I get it.
I think it's more about passing it on to other people. That's what I'm scared about.
Before we contemplate traffic light changes, epidemiologist Michael Baker wants us to be smarter about indoor environments like schools and restaurants, requiring masks. And he'd like to see us adopt a minimum ventilation standard.
We all accept the idea of safe water, safe food, and I think the idea of safe air indoors is really important.
We haven't looked specifically at standards as yet, but that's something that, of course, if we're asked to do some work on, we will.
In lieu of that, masks are a must.
Well, kia ora, Jenna. So we are past the peak, so what is it going to take to make the move to orange?
Yeah, it feels a bit frustrating, doesn't it, especially in Auckland and especially for hospitality operators. The case numbers are falling, but those restrictions remain in place. What Cabinet wants to see is a drop in the hospitalisations. There were still 734 hospitalisations today, half of which were in the Auckland region, and a sad milestone passed today too. New Zealand passed the 400 mark in the death toll from this pandemic. Though Cabinet wouldn't put a target number on how low it would like to see hospitalisations go, that is what it wants to see driven down before it moves, and it did bring forward the next review date for the traffic light settings to the 14th of April, the Thursday before Easter, before the school holidays begin.
Our political editor Jenna Lynch there. Thanks, Jenna.